Module 1, Lesson 14, we're working on dividing decimals by a whole number, and we're using a place value chart in order to understand how the standard algorithm works. So a lot of people just start with the standard algorithm and they don't know what they're doing because they don't understand what each number represents. So we're using the place value chart as kind of a bridge between understanding and the standard algorithm. So let's take a look at 6 and 72/100 divided by 3. Now the first thing you want to do is your starting amount. You are going to draw in your discs on your place value chart. So in my ones column I have 6 discs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In my tenths I have 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And then in my hundredths I have 2. And in this case, we don't have any in our thousands. That's kind of the first step of place value chart division. The next thing you want to do is you want to draw how many groups you are dividing your decimal into. And for here, we are dividing it into 3 groups. So I'm going to draw groups down at the bottom of my place value chart. So there's one line, 2 groups, and then I will extend it down here to draw 3. So if you're looking at this, I have 3 rows, which is going to be equal to 1, 2, 3 groups. And now I'm ready to start sharing my discs up above. So I will start with my largest place value, which is 1s, and I'm going to share into each of my groups. So we have 1 goes down there, 2 here, 3, and I have 3 more, so I keep sharing. And finally there. Now this is where we're going to relate it to our standard algorithm. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to draw in my standard algorithm. And standard algorithm is kind of read backwards. So you have your division sign and your starting amount actually goes underneath your division sign. So we have 6.72, and how many groups you're dividing into goes on the outside. So since we just worked with the 6 in the ones column, that's what we're going to ask ourselves. So the numbers up top are how many discs are in each of my groups. So if I look at my groups, I have 2 in this group, 2 in that group, and 2 in that group. So each group has 2, and that is the number that goes up top. Now you're going to be subtracting how many you shared all together. So in looking at how many were shared all together in each of those groups, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And so that is how many you're going to subtract. And so 6 minus 6 is 0. And this number here is going to be how many are left in your place value chart. So I got the 0, and if I look over here in my ones column, I have 0 discs left. So I know I'm on the right track. Now I'm moving over to my tenths column, and I'm going to put that 0 down, and I drop that 7 down, and I have 0, 7, and that should be also how many discs I have in my tenths column, which is 7. Now I kind of start that process all over again and share out my 7 into each of these 3 groups. So I have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, oops, I didn't share it correctly. That one should have gone here, and then 3. Now I have 1 left, and I can't share that equally among my 3 groups, so I'm going to stop for now and go back to my standard algorithm. So I asked myself how many discs are in each group. Then there are 2 discs in each group. So I put that here. Then I'm going to have my subtraction problem, asking myself how many all together. And all together I have shared 6. So I'm going to minus 6. 7 minus 6 is 1. And this number should be how many discs I have left, which is 1. Now, we want to think about how can we continue to share those discs, or what can we do to share those discs, and we want to unbundle. And remember, unbundling is where one disc becomes 10 discs in the column to the right. So we'll take that one left over and we'll move it over here, and it becomes 10 discs. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And now we want to share them out equally among my 3 groups. Oh, but first, let's see if it matches up with our standard algorithm. We want to drop this 2 down, and we should have 12 discs in our new column, which we do, so we're right on track. Now we can share. So for sharing equally, I'm going to go by 3s because that goes a little bit faster. 1, 2, 3, and then I put my 3 dots there. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And I am left with 3. Now I don't have any leftover dots, so I can stop here. Now I'm going to relate it back to my standard algorithm. At the top, again, how many discs are in each group? There are 4 discs in each group. Then we're going to do our subtraction problem, and we're going to count up how many discs did we share all together. We have 4, 8, and 12. So we're going to minus 12, and 12 minus 12 is 0. And this 0 matches how many discs I have left on my place value chart. So the answer to 6.72 divided by 3 is 2.24, or 2 24 hundredths. All right, let's take a look at another problem on our homework, and we'll do 1A, which is 5 and 241 thousandths divided by 3. They've already drawn out our place value chart for us here, and they've even done our groups for us, which is 3 groups. So now the first thing we want to do is put in our discs. In my ones, I have 5 discs, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In my tenths, I have 2. Hundredths, I have 4 discs. And in my thousandths, I have 1. Next, I want to start sharing out my groups. So I'm sharing them into 3. So I'm just going to go by 3s because that makes it a little bit easier. So I'll cross off 3, and then I share those down here. And then I notice that I have 2 left over, and I can't share those equally. So I'm going to pause here and relate it back to our standard algorithm. The top is how many discs are in each group, and each group has 1 disc. So I put that on top, and then I asked myself, how many did I share all together? And all together, I shared 3 discs. So I have 5 minus 3 is 2, and I check that against how many I have left, which is 2. Now I ask myself, how can I keep sharing these discs? And I will unbundle, so that 1 disc will become 10. And then my other disc will also become 10. So now if I go back to my standard algorithm and I drop down my 2, I should have 22 here and 22 discs in my tenths place, which I do. So now I can start sharing again. And I'm going to go by 3s just because it makes it easier. So there's 3, and I share those out. 3. 3, 3 more, 3, and again, 1, 2, 3, and my final 3 here. All right, and I notice, and I want to keep track that I have that 1 left over. So now going back to my standard algorithm, I'll put my decimal here because now I'm working in tens, and I ask myself on the top, how many discs in each group? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 will go up top. Then I'm going to do my subtraction, and I'm going to ask myself, how many did I share all together? So I have 7 here, 7 here, which is 14, and then 7 on the bottom, which is 21. So minus 21, which is 22 minus 21 is 1. And this one should equal how many I have left over. So now I'm going to ask myself, how can I keep sharing that number? And it is to unbundle. So this one will now become 10 over here in the 100. Then to check and make sure, I drop down my 4. And this 14 should match how many I have in my hundreds, which it does. So now I can continue sharing out. So I have my 3, and my next 3, 3, and 3. And I want to make sure that I keep track that I have these 2 left over. So in my standard algorithm, how many in each group is 4, so that goes up top. Then I'm subtracting, I'm running out of room, how many I shared all together, which is 4, 8, and 12, little tiny 12. And 14 minus 12 is 2, which is how many discs I have left. So now I'm going to ask myself, how can I keep sharing? And that is to unbundle. So that 1 will become 10 over here. And this next one will also become 10. And if I drop down my 1 in my standard algorithm, I will have 21, which should match how many discs I have in my place value chart, which it does. So now I'm going to continue to share 3 at a time. There's 3. And my next 3. 3. And it looks like I will be able to share them all out without having any remainders. So over in my standard algorithm, I ask myself how many in each group. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm going to kind of put my 21 up here so I can show you guys. And I'm going to do, so that 21 is moved up here, my subtraction sentence. And I'm going to ask how many did I share all together. So we have 7, 14, and 21. And 21 minus 21 is 0, which matches how many discs we have left. So our answer to 5 and 241 thousandths divided by 3 is 1 and 747 thousandths. For problem 2, you can just do the standard algorithm if that makes sense to you, but if you need to relate it to the place value chart, feel free to get some extra paper or make place value charts in the boxes that they have there. I know they're kind of small, but do what you need to do in order to solve these problems.